the same is true of, you know, photography. You would have a light box and a loop, you know. You would go on these elaborate shoots, you know, and the guy would shoot for 8 hours and they would just hand you like 2,000 chromes that would come. You'd literally have to go through each one like boxes and boxes.
And then hope that when it was actually bigger that it looked anything like what you'd hoped for.
Well, it was strange too, because then that's what you would kind of narrow it down to like 15, send them out and get 15 C prints. You know, because then you would seeing them big and you could see little mistakes, and then you would be like, gosh, I like this guy's head on C print number 2, but C print number 7, I like how like the girl's hair is. And then they would, guy in the bullpen would cut each little thing out, glue them all together, and then that thing would be handed over to the retoucher, and then they would kind of make a print somehow of that, and then physically paint right onto it. I guess a lot of times if you would look at the ads in those magazines, you could see that they look like little bad paintings, you know?
But it's funny also that the clients, like, can you imagine clients today with all the kind of detailed comments that they would make about a picture? Like in those days, it would be impossible. I mean,
yeah, it is totally
you either
impossible.
have to be in part of the process every day,
right,
or else just kind of hope that it's good, because there's nothing else you can do about it. Yeah. It was really much more of a trade in that sense of like that you had real skills, that physical skills that were different. Yeah. Yep. But also, I mean, I think in the end, we probably. I mean, do you think the ideas are better now? Do you think we have more ideas? Do you think we have more time to do ideas, so we're not spending as much time?
I think it's probably the same. You know, you think back, and there's probably the same amount of prep and the same amount of good things. There was good people doing great, interesting, groundbreaking things. It's probably the same today. I mean, it's because I'm so much in that older world, I really found that it's harder for me to adapt to the computer and stuff. It's like I never use like Illustrator. I can barely use Photoshop. I still do my old ways of crafting, but a lot of times I'll see what people do and I'm like, God, it's pretty amazing, you know. So I have a lot.
Do you feel like there's a benefit to you're having those old skills, or do you think they're just irrelevant?
No, I think it's a kind of a trade-off. I see myself.
You're like the type guy.
Yes,
you're gonna be a rep for some production house now.
Without question, that's sort of how I feel inside, actually. You know? Right. So, but I don't know. I mean, an idea is an idea, but a lot of times today, clients are so used to like, wow, look how slick this thing is, that sometimes my thing on a napkin can get lost as a result. So,
well, it's funny because we were just working on, on Sunkissed. Mm-hmm. This new client that we just got, and so they showed us all the commercials from when Sunkissed was launched in 1978. You remember that? Good vibrations. But then, so that we went through, and it was all basically like people on the beach playing surfing. And I can easily imagine how they filmed it, because it certainly wasn't filmed like something that would be filmed now. But then at the end of this whole thing, we go through this, and they present us with a strategy. And my feeling was the strategy that we're working against is essentially the same strategy they had in 1978 when they launched. Like,
it would be cool to run the 1978 commercial.
That's what everybody's reaction was. That'd be really cool, but it kind of is and kind of isn't, though.
It's too bad, like, when you're trying to explain to those young people, like, what it was like, they tune out, but if they can see something, they're like, well, look at how cool that looks so old. Like, if you probably, for fun, if you put a Lucy machine in the middle of your place, they would start using it and being like, wow, it's an interesting, cool, freaky thing. But hearing the mundane story about it, it's like, okay, what are you talking about?
Right. That's true. It's also funny looking at these old 70s things, like young people who are like in their 20s or 30s, let's say, they look at stuff from the 70s and think that's really cool. And then stuff from the 80s comes up and they're all like, oh my God, this is cool. And my attitude is like the 70s were like, awful, horrible 70s, right? And the 80s were sort of like, I don't know, had a bit more style.
Right.
Too, right?
Definitely had more style, man. Just the hair.
Girls had a lot more hair, and, shoulders and all that kind of stuff. Yes, those are the good old days.